This is the Unfinished Relationship Podcast.
In the last podcast, my intention was not to frighten anybody, but just to be real about what to expect going into a divorce. Before I get into that first court case, there were other things that happened. She left on the 22nd of December, and I went to court on the 11th of January, the following year, 2023. After she left, I didn't know where she'd gone. She took the kids, left the house, said she was coming back, and that was it. Poof, gone. Clearly, she had some transportation waiting for her, which I didn't see, and I thought they were coming back. The circumstances leading up to this, I will not really go into them unless I have to, but I can't put my finger on exactly what. And I can attest to that fact because I have even got social worker reports which clearly state that even 6 months after she'd left the house, she couldn't tell the social workers why she left. She couldn't explain it in a manner which the social workers could appreciate. And I was fortunate enough that most of the social workers involved were fairly mature people, so I gave some credence to what they were saying. Anyway, she left the house on the 22nd of December, took the kids. When I finally clocked that something was wrong, she left at about 11. I finally clocked something was wrong when nobody came home by 3. It was holidays, holiday time. So, tried calling, no answer. Failing to get an answer, I decided, okay, the best thing to do, just keep calling. I kept calling until about 8 o'clock at night. If you know someone who's divorced or who has had a somewhat acrimonious or basically gone through a process where they've not been able to sit down, they're the best people to call because they can tell you or at least give you an idea of what to do. In my case, for anybody who's interested, I called an ex-brother-in-law who had been through something similar with a related family member. And I don't know why I called him, but he was the first person I thought of. And I called him, it must have been about 10 o'clock at night. She was still not responding to my calls, not responding to my text messages, nothing. And his advice was very simple. His advice was, look, dude, you need to, clearly she has decided to bounce. So the suggestion is, what I suggest you do is first thing in the morning, go to the police station and then inquire of the police what they know. More than likely, that's where you will get your information. What I did not know at this time is that, especially with women, because we're dealing with a woman here, no offense to anybody who's listening out there, when they go into a shelter, it is on the shelter people or whoever's taken her to the shelter to register that she's within the shelter with the police. So that's what had happened. I went to the police the next morning, the 23rd, I think it was, of December. You can see what kind of Christmas I was about to have. I went to the police station the next morning. You never think about it, but police stations do actually close and open, but they have business hours. So I went there and in the police station and met a young man who basically told me that my children were registered on the police national computer, but he couldn't tell me where they were. All he could tell me is that they've been taken into protective custody along with their mother. Now, piece of advice, when you go to the police station, 2 things have to happen. 1, you have to be calm. 2, you have to, if possible, have some kind of ID. And for that, I would say to anybody who suspects that something nefarious is about to happen in their house, make sure you have a photocopy of all the children's particulars, so that at least when you go to the police station, you can hand over those copies and let them have a look-see. So I was told basically my wife and my children were now in protective custody. He couldn't tell me where they were. Someone from the police would be in touch and to go home and chill out, essentially. Not very comforting, if you will, because I am at this point, I don't know where my children have been. I went in the police station 8 o'clock. They left the house about 11 a.m. the morning before rather. So they have been gone for almost 24 hours, and I had no clue where they were. I called up my my ex brother-in-law, and he then gave me his next piece of sage advice was to go to the local council offices and try and get the phone number for the local children's services department, because they are under the age of 16 or 18, they will have been registered with the children's services. So I should go and get that number. So I went to the local council offices in my area, district area, and they gave me a general number, which I rang until I found the right department. Trust me, this part, it's painful because it's not straightforward. You can look online, maybe if you know your borough or your district or your whatever, find out. Then you need to get hold of one of two teams, what they call a CAST team or a MASH team in children's service. They will be the ones who generally be dealing with this case, with the case at this point. That's what happened in my case anyway. I was fortunate enough that I actually wound up talking to the social worker on whose file my wife's case, on whose desk rather my wife's file landed. Very interesting. As they say, God works in mysterious ways. And me and her had a very long chat, almost 3 hours. I was on the phone with that lady. Never actually met her, but we went through it. And she hadn't yet met my wife. She was scheduled to meet my wife about 3-4 days later. But we decided to use that opportunity. Essentially, I was interviewed on the telephone. She asked me a lot of questions about our relationship, what had gone wrong, what I felt had gone wrong. She asked about the children, because remember, at the end of the day, their job is primarily focusing on the children and the welfare and well-being of those children. We sat on that phone for a long time. I remember that call. She asked me what I thought had gone wrong. I didn't know because I felt I had done everything as a father. I had not only provided for my family, but made sure that everybody was okay. Roof over their head, car in the driveway, tank of diesel in the car, holidays, clothes, etc., etc. She was a housewife. I had told her we had disagreements over the fact that she needed to go back to work. She needed to seriously consider going back to work. She was a qualified nurse, but she was and we had an agreement early on in our marriage or relationship whereby she would go back to work once the children were out of creche and into primary school. She was now starting to walk that back. I guess staying at home was making her comfortable, but the cost of living at this point in time, we're talking 2022, 2023, the price of an egg was already 15p. An egg, for crying out loud. So the end result was, and I felt maybe that was it. The other thing as well for note was that my soon-to-be ex-wife was affiliated with a religious sect, which I had told her for years to get rid of, but she didn't want to hear it. She had her mind was made up, and that's what she wanted to do, and it was. I know it was one of the key reasons why our relationship was falling apart, because at the end of the day, I was not prepared to tango, but I was prepared to stick it out for my kids. Of that, I was absolutely certain. I'll stick it out for my kids. Clearly, she was not prepared to do the same, as you will see in the later episodes. So at this point, I also then get a phone call from the police, and the police say they want to invite me in for an interview. And I'm like, at this point, we're now going towards the end of the year, 2022. The police invite me in for an interview.